Evening, everybody. Welcome to the Block 9 podcast with myself, the Crazy Pilgrim. Tonight we have Carl the Green Giant, Dave from the Evans Boys, and Marcus in with us as well. A lot to talk about, a lot to digest tonight. But look, let's start off with a summary of that game. So, do you know what? We all knew it was going to be a bit of a challenge. I always like to feel positive going into a game and hope that we can get some points and stuff, out of a scrappy draw, but it is Leeds. We had a lot of injuries and players obviously out, so it was going to be a challenge. And it really all surrounded 8 minutes of football. Argyle were holding back, defending the box, which is what Rooney said the plan was. To try and hold out and then bring some attacking players on later, but effectively a wonder strike shot from Dan James set Leeds off after the crowd were getting a bit on their backs, to be fair. And then suddenly 2 more goals came, which Rooney pits down to a bit of a lack of concentration, and that sealed the game really for Leeds. Argyle tried to sort of hold the game and not concede anymore, but it was all within that spell. But the most, I suppose, and it's created a lot of chat around, the most frustrating fact, again, is not only did Argyle sort of not really create any chances, they had 0 chances. There were 0 shots on target, 0 shots off target, 0 chances created, 0 corners, even 0 bookings, to name but a few. And some people are sort of on the view that that's not acceptable, especially when you've got a lot of fans going to the away game, paying all that money, travelling all that way, to suddenly see that more again, see that style of play again, and not even see any efforts go at goal. I mean, Carl, the last time on that one was when you were at Cardiff and we had that almost side-footed shot to the keeper right at the end and the crowd started to cheer it as if it was a goal. But, yeah, look, what's your thoughts on that game yesterday, Carl?
I mean, they didn't even have a shot to even celebrate it yesterday, did they?
Exactly.
I mean, you obviously had Andy over yesterday to watch the game.
Yeah.
And I thought the first 28 minutes, and then we conceded, were actually, well, I mean, I wouldn't say positive, but we held our own. We were defending well. We were letting them have the ball. We weren't really closing them down much, but I think that was part of the game plan. Yeah. Not to press them too much because they could probably do more damage if we pressed higher up the pitch or got into their faces. So I think we wanted to go as long as possible to soak up all the pressure. And we got the 28 minutes, and obviously they got their reward with a cracking strike. Don't get me wrong. And 2 players did come out to try and stop James, but the way he kind of hit it, he was kind of falling back as he was hitting it. And
yeah, he was. Yeah.
Great strike. Whether Grimshaw could have got any closer to it, I don't know. I'm probably been a bit harsh on Grimshaw, and then the 2 goals that followed were poor, weren't they? Defensively, all over the place. Couldn't clear our lines, and 2 really poor goals to concede. I think you have to give Dan James credit for the first. And then obviously second half, neither team really did much at all. We didn't obviously look to attack or do anything, and they didn't really press us either. It kind of petered out into obviously a 0-0 in the second half, which was positive, and we didn't concede any more goals. But not to even force a shot or even have a shot anywhere near the goal is a bit worrying.
I think, just going to come to Marcus next to get the quick initial thoughts. But Marcus, we did go out, we did start playing well. I mean, I have to admit, I was wallpapering in this room, and so I had it on, and I was trying to listen while trying to go between rooms with the paper. But, I know we were hit quite early, Marcus, weren't we? We had that little exchange in the WhatsApp, and I was like, calm down, just see what happens. We're doing all right. And I sort of then jinxed it. We did sort of hold them back well, and then the first goal came, didn't it, Marcus?
Yeah, within 2 you said that. They scored, didn't they? But then again, there ain't much they could do done with the first goal, but the midfield is just too lightweight with them 3, Roberts, Houghton and Forshaw. It's just too lightweight. I mean, in that sort of game, when you've got trying to get the ball off them, not one booking, there's no fire there. I would have expected at least one booking to show something, but nothing.
Yeah.
But I also think Souks looks lost without Gibson.
Yeah.
So obviously we got looks like we got another injury with Sissoko, which is not looking too good.
Potentially. I mean, that's the rumours. I mean, Dave, sort of. I mean, did you and Edward watch it in some way, or did you listen to it?
No, we watched it on the telly, and yeah, same as Carl, same as Marcus. Marcus has said. I agree with everything they've said. Yeah, we went there. To be honest, I would have been happy with a point, but to be fair, the better team won, and you can't odds it. And we've got to move on until Tuesday now, really. And we need 3 points Tuesday. It's got to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we've talked a lot, a hell of a lot today, actually, and even yesterday after the game. And, I could see the odd Leeds fan and saying that they destroyed us. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't good. Leeds controlled the game. It's probably, a reason why, as sort of Carl spotted earlier, the last few teams that have played against them, haven't had any shots on target. There might have been some for them off target, but
we had a lot injured, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
Lots didn't go in our favour anyway, but we did our best, and that's all we can do, innit?
Yeah, exactly. So with those key sort of players and injuries out, and also Whittaker rested. We had Better come in. Poulsen got another start. We also.
I was disappointed with Gray. Gray should have started, and he should have played the old game, from my view. I think it could have been a bit. Yeah.
I tell you, but this is what I'm coming on to, really, which is one of the points that sort of I posted elsewhere and sort of said to the guys, is that when you look at the game and the fact that clearly afterwards Rooney said there is hinted that there is more focus going into the Tuesday night game, rightly or wrongly, but that is what it is. There's Macy's just getting there, that they're key games now to win, but effectively, when you see the likes of Caleb Roberts coming and get an opportunity of Better, like I said, you've got a few others in there. That Sorinola, who hasn't really come into the mix, suddenly then get their chance. And I felt, and I said this, Carl, didn't I, that I think maybe Rooney was playing it a bit smart. We are picking up injuries. We're coming into that crazy festive period. Every week seems crazy at the minute. And so giving those players a bit of a run out is going to give them some match minutes, which is crucial. Tegan Finn, 20 minutes at the end, didn't have much, but it gets him in a game, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, most of the changes were enforced, wasn't it? It's not like we had a fully fit squad and he changed it around. He had to make those changes because we had nobody else. I thought Pleggy coming in, obviously for his start, did okay. I think the jury's still out on Poulsen for me. He looks well off it for me. But then if he gets more game time, he might get a bit more stronger. But I don't know. There's no evidence to see from me that he's going to be a half decent player for us. I thought Sorinola and Better again did both well enough until we conceded, and then obviously all the heads kind of dropped after that, didn't it? But they showed glimpses that they were. Good enough to step in if required, but we haven't really got the quality in depth, have we? Obviously, last season we all know we didn't have any depth at all. This season we got the depth, and obviously we're starting to show we haven't got the quality in depth this season. But all these types of problems over time, if we get the investment, hopefully we can start building up the squad. Getting the quality off the bench as well. But until that time, we just have to keep on doing what we're doing, picking up as much points as we can at home. But this form needs to change and fast, really.
Yeah, I think definitely, and I think that's a lot of key points. I mean, we don't want to dwell too much on the game, not because we got beat, and that's just typical thing to do. We've also got Jamie in. Good evening, Jamie. We'll bring you in a moment as well. Who's a Pompey fan? Like he's saying, how big a game that is. They got a draw. So it's touch and go, and the reality is Argyle could. Face big issue going into that game if we don't pick up any points whatsoever. So yeah, look, there was a lot of chatter across the social channels, and I think the biggest one is definitely that sort of the lack of chances, the lack of creative play. Sort of touched upon it just now, but just to sort of focus on that, I think for me, this game, there was a lot of thinking ahead to Pompey on Tuesday. Sissoko, let's assume and hope he doesn't have this groin injury that's doing the rumours. We'll soon, we might not know because they might keep that quiet and literally till Tuesday. Whittaker was fully rested, which I think was probably fair. Whittaker also wouldn't have enjoyed seeing us lose the way we did, but it keeps him fresh for the game. And for me, it is what it is, but it's not great when you're that many fans going up. For me, it is what it is, but it's not. Reverb again. So Marcus, I'm gonna come to you now. The youngsters got that chance. Caleb Roberts being one that started the game for his first game after taking that head injury a good few weeks ago. What did you think of him, and do you think he's sort of given himself a great opportunity to come into the squad?
Actually, for a player that's already played, he was actually our best midfielder.
Yeah.
So that didn't look good on the other two. So I would actually play him alongside AB and Houghton. He's meant to be back on Tuesday, isn't he? It's touch and go. So he's only a slight knock.
Yeah.
I would play them three in midfield.
I think if you look at the lineup, and if you're fair to Rooney with what I just sort of suggested, you've got Houghton, in midfield, Forshaw, and you said Hardy then, you might as well have played in midfield, Forshaw, Sorinola. So you have with Houghton and Forshaw, you are going to go that more defensive to try and hold the ball and ease the pressure on the defensive line. So I don't see I see more Roberts as that attacking sort of midfield player. So with him having that opportunity, I think on Tuesday to come in alongside Randall, if Randall's healed from that knock, Marcus could be an interesting one.
I prefer Roberts than Al Hadj, and I also think Gaby looks better with Randall at holding midfielders, and have Roberts as attacking midfielder.
Yeah. Yes.
And I would have Soko on one side, Wigger on the other, and Gray definitely starts the game.
Yeah, he has to. He has to start.
Yeah, he has to start.
Yeah, I think so. Dave, I was just going to come to you on that. I mean, sort of you mentioned about Gray, in terms of just sticking with the likes of Roberts and even Sorinola, to be fair, who hasn't really featured at all. From what you saw, because like I said, I lead you guys on this because I was in between stuff, so didn't really watch the game after paying the £10 for it. But yeah, what were your thoughts on Roberts and how did Sorinola do in that game?
Yeah, I think I agree with Marcus. Yeah, I thought Roberts played all right, but I think Rooney needs to jiggle it all around for Tuesday. To be honest with you, yeah, totally. I think we need Whittaker, Gray. Hopefully Randall's back in. I'm hoping Randall is in because I feel like we missed him on Saturday.
Yeah, well, Haj was rested as well, wasn't he? And I think for me, we've said on here, Haj hasn't overly impressed at all, is he? So that's sort of a tricky one for me. Do you go with Roberts and Haj? Do you go with Roberts and Randall? It's an interesting one. But Gray, I don't disagree. I'd like to have seen him start against Leeds because you want to get more match fitness. But Hardy was on his own up there, nothing to do. So effectively, you would have just been stretching Gray's legs and nothing else, wouldn't you?
It would have been nice to see Gray start, like we all said. But I think in that system we played yesterday, he would have been run ragged. He would have done probably about 6 or 7 miles running around that pitch without even touching the ball. And that would probably left him knackered for Tuesday. So it's probably, in hindsight, better to keep him for Tuesday. And keep him fresh and firing for them because he wouldn't have had much to do yesterday being up there on his own, would he?
No, absolutely not. So sort of, I think with Gray, you're going to get someone that's going to bring more to the game. I think he's got that strength, he's got that pace, he's got that accuracy. Who do you pair up alongside? Do we go 4-4-2 or do we sort of play Obafemi with him, or do we just bring Whittaker in a bit and play in behind him in number 10 role and maybe mix it up and put Teague and Finn on the outside? What are you thinking there, Dave? I'm conscious of that you've got to go in a minute, but how would you mix that lot? How would you consider that starting 11 on Tuesday?
I think I'd put a couple up front.
Yeah, so go 4-4-2 then.
I would.
So who would you pair alongside Gray?
I think it would have to be Whittaker because you've got a chance of him scoring.
Yeah, Yeah, I think Obafemi could cause some problems still. It would be interesting to see how well he could link up. I know he's not. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but in these circumstances and situations, I think some players aren't always able to show. And against Luton, was it when he scored his goal? He looked good. And
I think he'd work well in a two, if I'm honest. I think with Gray's kind of strength and his the ball should stick with him, and if he can play in Obafemi using his strength and his experience, and I think as a two they could work quite well. But I can't see Rooney switch into a two at home. I think he'll carry on with his usual formation because it seems to be working. Obviously, the only game we've looked poor in is the Preston game, so I don't think we need to go all out at home and change tactics and formations because clearly it's been working. We just need to get the personnel correct on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I think so, and it is a big game, to come to, and I'm just going to bring Jamie in now. It's evening, Jamie. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Yeah. So, how's your confidence? What are you thinking now towards this game? Because it's massive for both clubs. It is a 6-pointer now. I think with the situation with our results recently, So yeah, where's your mind at with how you think this game will go on Tuesday?
Obviously, it's going to be tough, for our team as well. We haven't been fantastic in form recently, as everyone knows. I think the game against Hull City the other day was a bit of an improvement in the second half for us. First half wasn't so bright, obviously. But the second half was really much more improvement. But I think obviously with you guys playing at home, there is going to be a slight little doubt there for us lot coming to your grounds. Obviously, I'm kind of hoping, if we don't get the win, then maybe obviously get a draw out of it, which I think would be decent in a way for both teams in reality. It's going to be a tough one, really.
Yeah, I think it's you've got to take some confidence though, and I certainly would try and take that if I was your manager, especially the way Preston, sort of took the situation, and if they hadn't sat back a little bit, could have walked away with all 3 points. So there's got if you're a team, even if you're at bottom, you've got a point against Hull. So and obviously we got a Hull City fan in as well this evening. Good evening to you, but there's got to be some positives that you think if you could get that first goal like Preston, could it cause Argyle to wobble?
Possibility, because like I said, we didn't play too bad against Hull City, obviously, just gone. And like I said, the second half was really, more positive, going forward. Hull City found it really hard, in that second half, trying to get out their own half and that. So we caused them issues and problems.
Yeah.
But I feel like, obviously, if we could maybe get the first goal and settle the game down, then maybe, that would, like you said, maybe wobble yous a bit, and then, it'll make the game a lot more interesting. But not being funny, it's, I don't know, it's a tough one, really, ain't it? Because, like I said, we're coming to use, and, I've been watching Argyle recently, so I know, obviously, you're on the up with starting to win games and looking good and
only at home.
Only at home.
Yeah. But I know obviously, I know you lost obviously against Leeds United, but like I said to a lot of people, going to Ellen Road is a tough place to go. I went there obviously the first game of the season with Portsmouth, and it was a tough place. I was quite shocked and surprised when we went in half time at 2-1 up against Leeds United. We'll even get a point out of it. But, going back to Tuesday's game, it's going to be a tough one. Obviously, I'm coming down for it, so it's going to be interesting. I just hope, like I said earlier on in the chat, I wish both teams all the best. And hopefully we'll see, within the first 20, 30 minutes, who's looking more threatening on the attack and who's looking more positive, you know what I mean?
That first goal is going to be crucial to both teams.
Yeah, Dave, I was actually just gonna come to you, watching monitoring the clock, to get your sort of also prediction on the scoreline. But the one thing that I think that this game could be, and that is, it could be the most tense and nervous game for both sides, because I think of the pressure that the Argyle squad and players will be under, to sort of come back, from yet another poor defeat.
Rooney's going to want to win because people have started saying stuff on social media and all that started.
Yeah,
but we just got to go with it, haven't we? All right, I think we win 2-1.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I would still want to see this bloody clean sheet, but
yeah, that would be nice.
But yeah, it's
2-0.
I do think this one's going to be edgy. I mean, Carl, sort of, I've had a bit of a sort of dodgy, sort of edgy feel as well as you have. Even when we played Preston at home, and and it was great to get that late win, late equaliser, I should say. But it's this is just going to be this one's likely to be really twitchy on both sides, because Portsmouth will know how important it is that if they get a win, how they can jump a couple of places, and equally if we get a win, then we can obviously move up, and it eases a bit of pressure going into that final game, before the international break.
I think if we beat Preston and we didn't go 3-0 down, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation about worrying about Tuesday, because our home form is top class and has been for the last few years. I think that first half against Preston's got us a bit dubious, and especially with obviously the away form as it is. We're kind of hoping it's not slipping into the home record and home performances. So that's my only concern. Obviously, the second half was better. We still weren't great. Yeah, we got back to 3-3, but I still don't think we were on top form. And maybe if we had another 10 minutes, we probably would have got the winner in the end. But yeah, I am slightly worried about Tuesday, mainly on that reason. But us being at home, having key players back, hopefully Sissoko is one of them. Because if he's playing, then I think we've got every chance of creating enough chances to win the game. But from Jamie's side, I want to know from him, does he call it a derby or not?
Not really. I mean, the derbies are more sort of like Southampton, Pompey, ain't it? So I know people call it dockyard derbies, but it's not.
Yeah. Obviously, it's called a dockyard derby. I think Rooney said something about it being a derby. About the dockyard bit, so yeah, it's not really a derby for me either way.
No, I think I've just brought Tom in actually, who's another Pompey fan, which was a giveaway from his profile picture. So Tom, I did mute you because we were getting a bit of background noise from you, but if you are there,
I'm here, guys. I'm here.
Are you thinking
it is a derby, but I'm thinking. I'm here, guys. I'm here.
Are you thinking?
It is a derby, but I'm thinking.
No, Tom, we got major feedback from you there. So try and, if I can just.
He sounds like Blaz, which is a bit strange.
I did wonder that, Carl, yeah, which was a bit strange. So yeah, it's regardless of derby, yes, derby not. It's a game that does create a great atmosphere off the back of that, which I think does bring a good edge to the game. So Dave, conscious now you've got to go off in a minute. Any final words from you?
What will be, but hopefully we'll get a 2-0 win.
2-0 now, not 2-1.
I'm gonna thinking positive.
Oh, he's changed it already.
That's the.
We've got to think positive, haven't we? We've got that. For me, it's home park where we know what we're all like as fans. There, we make it electric every home game, and let's just hope Rooney picks an all right team. The injuries all come, like who was injured. It all works in our favour, really. We just got to go with it and we hope, because we know we can do it. That's the annoying thing.
Yeah, absolutely. What does Edward think of the game? I don't know if he's gone off to bed now.
He's not coming. He's staying at home with Mum doing fireworks.
So there's going to be
he's going to watch it on the telly.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of fireworks going off during that game, isn't there? So let's just hope they're on the pitch in a good celebratory way, not in a negative way at the end of the game. So no, appreciate that, Dave. I think that's one of the things to absolutely remember is Sissoko should be back if this injury is just talk. Obviously,
for me, he's key if he's back.
Sorry?
He's key for me if he's back.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see Gray up front.
It would be interesting to see how we do play them with Sissoko back in, because he is hot and cold. But you have to say, the games that we've played, we haven't done so well. And is there a correlation? Whitaker will be fresh, which is a good thing as well. Hopefully Randall will be back. JB will be available. And again, I know he's not been everybody's cup of tea, but I think he's been brilliant this season so far. So Marcus, there is some key players there, isn't there, that you have to sort of go, do you know what? We will have a reasonably strong squad on Tuesday night.
Yeah, but I think you mentioned it the other day. There seems to be a bit of an atmosphere if he starts with Olfemi and Whitaker, like he's not passing to him when he's in better positions. I'll take a notice of that, because that's you can't have a team that's not that there's playing like individuals. Not there's a bit of a animosity there.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
But one thing we definitely should be fresh. There's no excuse for the attackers to say they're tired.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's the Jeremy Kyle comment comes up again, and I'm trying to make sure this tripod doesn't fall over on me. So always appreciate those comments. But yeah, an evening to those that have joined us throughout the live. So yeah, I think sort of Carl, they're key players either way, aren't they? And maybe Whitaker could come back in, and if you've got Sissoko and Whitaker on either side, it does cause those defences to sort of think about where they're going to position players. That's the obvious thing. Who do you mark and go to and protect?
Well, this is the thing. This is why I think when they're both in the team, it's the opposition that have the problem then of double marking one of them. And if they double mark Sissoko, Whitaker's free, and vice versa. My only concern is obviously with Sissoko's red card now. If he does come back, if he's fit, hopefully that's a load of nonsense that we saw on Twitter earlier. Yeah. But they're going to know how to rile him up now. So it's whether he's learned from his red card or
he can't snap again.
No, this is what I worry about. If they take that onto him on Tuesday and get his back up, is he going to react differently, or is he going to be a hothead and do it again? So it'd be interesting.
Hopefully, he knows he just needs to remain professional, not get triggered.
He's got to keep a lid
on it. Yeah, but Twitter's been talking a load of crap in the last couple of days anyway, so they might.
Oh yeah, so it's probably someone fishing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a clear point that needs to be addressed, doesn't it? And again, if you're the opposition's manager, you're gonna sort of look to get them to focus on that. So Whitaker doesn't tend to react, but whereas Sissoko does like to try and run on through and really like to get involved and all that sort of, as AJ's saying, that other platform talks a lot of crap sometimes, and it can do. I don't mind going on there every now and then, but the vibe last night, Carl will bring it up in a minute, but Carl sort of posted something about Simon Hallett, and or you even had Chris Webb, who was giving his opinion, who flicks from one side to the other depending on the situation.
Oh, he's an Exeter City fan.
Yeah, God, yeah, absolutely. Jamie, coming back to yourself, have you got any injuries? Have you generally got a fully fit squad? And who should we sort of be? I know you haven't had the best of starts, so to say who should we be looking out for? But there will obviously be some key players in the Portsmouth squad.
Yeah, we've got obviously some injuries on our injury list, some key players out. I'd most probably say the players to watch out for on Tuesday night would most probably be Callum Lang, who's been playing really well for Pompey this season.
Yeah.
Who's most probably been the only decent sort of player in a way.
What position, Jamie?
Sorry?
What position is he?
He plays as a cam, so obviously just sitting right behind the striker. Sometimes he can play on the right wing as well, which I think in the whole City game he was playing on the right wing, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously he can play along the front line, but normally he sits behind the strikers. Also, I'd most probably say the other players to watch out for would be Freddie Potts. He's been playing really decent recently, been coming good, starting to show some really good form. He can assist really well. He can direct balls really pretty well. So and
Josh Murphy, Tom's saying Josh Murphy.
Josh Murphy, I'm not so hot-headed on him at the moment. I mean, since he's come from Oxford United, for me, he's not really sort of kind of got to grips of the Championship just yet, you know, and I feel like that it's still early days with Josh Murphy, do you know what I mean? So I'd like to see him come good for us in the end, but I feel like at the moment he's just a little bit, you know, he's starting off slow. So, but you never know, with a game like this coming up on Tuesday night, it may be a total different ball game. I mean, in the second half of that Hull City game, he started to show that, you know, he can get forwards and starting to do what he was, you know, brought in to do. So, yeah, for me, the key players to watch out for, like I said, would be like Freddie Potts and Callum Lang, really. So,
how's Sammy Silvera been for you, Jamie, this season?
He's not been too bad. He hasn't really featured in a lot of games. He's featured in like parts of games and that. He's another player really that kind of makes me think like, has he really got it? You know what I mean? Because like I saw him obviously in the pre-season matches leading up to the season start, and he looked, you know, he didn't look too bad down the wing, you know, in the pre-season games. And I know they're only pre-season friendlies against like teams that, you know, you're not going to play, but you know, he didn't look too bad. And then obviously the games that he has featured in this season so far, he's not been too bad, but it's just his, you know, his finishing touching, like the finer mark, you know, sort of like, you know, key sort of things he needs to tidy up on. And if he can do that, he's another decent sort of player on the wing as well that can, you know, really cause problems as well.
Yeah, I was only asking that because we were linked with him last summer, I believe, before we went to Middlesbrough. So, yeah.
Yeah. But, no, like I said, I mean, there is a lot of good players in the team, but there's still a lot of work to be done with us. I mean, yeah, we know we ain't got a Championship side sort of, you know, like team at the moment. We've come up with the team that we have done. We've added, like, obviously players to the team, but
very similar. Yeah,
you know, so it's a similar sort of position, you know, like obviously, like you said, you know, you can relate to it, you know, yourselves, you know, coming up, and also Sheffield Wednesday, they struggled last season. So, I mean, I had Wednesday fans last time when they came down. They said, "Look, listen, we were in the same position as you lot last season. You know, you're going to struggle. You know, you just got to do what you can do until January comes along, and then hope that, you know, you spend a bit of money in the transfer window." So, but yeah, as for Tuesday's game, I'd say Callum Lang is most probably the only player that I would say watch out for, because if he gets the ball, he will cause you issues and problems on that field. So.
Yeah, no, that's good. Just rather just keep responding in the comments. But Drew, the Randall was out due to a knock in training. Rooney has said post-match that there is a chance he should be available for Tuesday, but that also could be just to throw the opposition off. You never know. Hence with this rumour on Sissoko's injury in training, they would always like to keep those quiet. Thanks, Kieran, for the share, and Lisa for the gifts, and everybody else that's joined us tonight. So yeah, I think, you know, it's gonna go, now thinking about it, it's either gonna go really well and Argyle are gonna come at it off the back of these defeats, knowing that we can dig deep and get in there, and could end up being like a 3-0. And I mean that respectfully to Pompey. I don't feel Pompey have had that. You know, you haven't had a great start to the season, so it's not as if there's games that you can look back on either, Jamie, is there, where you can go, you know, look, we did really, really well, you know, we got a couple of wins, this, that, and the other, where I know for Argyle, we have had that, and at home. So I think it will either be, Marcus, a big sort of, say, 3-0, or it will be a really edgy, scrappy 1-0 win.
I don't think we don't want to come out like we did for the first hour against Preston, because they were just well off it, like they were dawdling around. We have to go out from the start, attack from the start, because obviously we can't defend for us to save our lives. So we're going to have to score, because I can't see us not conceding, definitely, because we just, you know, even our goalkeeper, brilliant as he has been, he hasn't had one clean sheet yet. So we're going to have to score about 3. I reckon we have to score about 3. I reckon about 3-1.
Well, this is where I think the two up front, you know, Drew's just saying Hardy's looks lost this season. You know, we said it earlier about his game yesterday. He was just really there to be that sort of striker that might get onto something if an opportunity occurs. But this is where I think mixing it up a bit and going with even if you do it tactically or whatever, or straight easy 4-4-2. I think that's where the difference could be, and have the confidence at home to go and take it. Because I think, and there he is on the screen. Jamie's put his camera on. I think go on.
I don't reckon that's a bad shout, having Gray and Whittaker up front. Have Whittaker as like a false 9, because I reckon he knows where the goal is. So I reckon we should try that one.
Yeah, well. I think what you could find is
I'm off. I'll see you later.
As Cole's just reminding you, cheers, Dave. He's got.
I've got a 10-minute walk. Well, hopefully it's a good blog, and let's hope we have a good match.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, catch you later, mate. Cheers for coming on.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Because Whittaker's been too isolated out the wing.
If Whittaker gets that, say that again. Sorry, mate.
Whittaker's too isolated out in the wing. He's been marked out of the game, so he comes more in the middle.
Well, that's the thing, and it's whether or not. Yeah,
but it's a case of who we're going to put out on that wing instead.
Well, this is where it will be interesting. But I think if you had Whittaker sat behind, because one of the things that actually was has been evident when Whittaker has come in is he has played some great passes, and I think with Gray's strength, pace, and ability to sort of read the game well, and Whittaker's great sort of passing, and also. Gray will drag defenders with him, so that will leave space for Whittaker to try and pin it on that left foot and have a shot. And that that could be an interesting way to sort of utilise Whittaker in a game where sort of going sticking with them those two as a more forward positions. Could be really effective, and I think we've almost got to go at it from the off because I just think, Jamie, with the way that you guys have started, if you've not really seen a huge amount of signs, it could be a game that if a goal goes in early, then equally, it could really kill you off for the rest of the match.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we kind of saw that, against the likes of Cardiff and QPR, but then obviously we had a good comeback against QPR and won the game. Like I said, the last game against Hull City was a tough one. I personally didn't feel like we were going to be able to get anything out of that, but then also the second half was really good. It was better performance-wise from us. I just feel like with this game on Tuesday night, like I said again, with all respects to you guys being at home, it is going to be a tough one. It's not. I wouldn't say that we're going to steam into the ground and obviously turn you over really easily because at home.
Yeah.
But I'd like, obviously, just like yourselves being at home, I'd like to see us get a win at your ground, but it is going to be a tough shout because, like you said, your home form's really good. Obviously, our form at the moment, home and away, all over the show, as you can imagine. But we are starting to see, slight little signs there, with the last game and that we are starting to build the momentum. So hopefully Tuesday night going into that game, we might see a more positive sort of Pompey side that, will, turn up as we've all been expecting to this season, But, we just have to see, like I said, within the first 20, 30 minutes of that entire game, who's looking more threatening on the attack,
It's one of those where I think for Portsmouth, I've not watched any games, but if you come at it, and just say caution to the wind and just go, do you know what? While Argyle have been rattled recently, let's just go at them. And we have seen. I mean, glad that you're coming down as well, and appreciate you coming down. And I think. Yeah. We have seen some really, really good games. Preston was awful for us because the start of it and concede, and then the 3 goal, and then the goal struck 2 goals, in the first half, one late on, and then the goal in the second half. But then that ending was just phenomenal. Obviously, Preston went through all the emotions. We went through all the emotions. So the games generally have been quite good. But teams that try and do have a go at us, it does open the games up, doesn't it, Carl? We do see, and we have, I don't think we've watched one boring game that hasn't had something going on in it.
No, I think like you say, our home form, like we all know, is excellent for this league and last season as well. But that alone, I don't think it's going to work this season to keep us up. We got lucky last season with it 'cause there's quite a lot of poor teams down there, like Rotherham, probably one of the worst championship sides in history. But it's a lot stronger down the lower half this season, I feel. So I think our home form isn't going to be enough. We need to buck our ideas up away from home and start picking up some points. But yeah, we haven't seen very many negative performances at home, obviously, because we win a good proportion of them. But we do tend to raise our game against teams that press us. We're quite good on the counter attack. So it's the teams that sit back and invite pressure on, which we seem to struggle with. So it depends on what kind of game plan Portsmouth have, whether they come at us or they sit back. Because if they come at us, then
Cheers, AJ.
we should pick them off. But yeah, we'll see what happens on Tuesday.
No, I mean JC's obviously highlighting the poor away form and the no clean sheets this season. And I mean, looking at the table, I mean, Portsmouth, Jamie, are the only team that yet to hit double digits, but you're on 9, Argyle on 12. If we win, and it's all dependent on other results, but that's sort of like anywhere from 13th, up to you could get to. And then there's the obviously the game against Derby, which we'll come on to touch upon later. But that's that you want to end your international break on a really good running, but because these gaps are then going to start to grow, aren't they? And I think that's the worry. The one thing I'm interested to sort of understand with Portsmouth actually, Jamie, and something we'll come on to next is. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about our owner, our investment, the lack of, and I'll go into a bit more detail and bring Carl in from a bit more on that. But is there funds at Portsmouth? Are they financially not in a great place? The ownership, what's happening there in terms of that?
I wouldn't say that there's lack of funds at Portsmouth with the owners. I think obviously a lot of it's been put aside for refurbishments of like the stadium, the training ground facilities. That's where they wanted to put the main focus was. Obviously moving up into the championship. So they wanted to make sure that the ground was all ready for the championship, which obviously they did. Lack of funds for the transfer window, I can't really comment too heavy on that because I don't know the ins and outs of that. But I would like to at least think that the owners have got the money. I feel like maybe what they were doing in the first transfer window of being in the championship was like saying, well, look, if we can get some free transfers here and there, save us a bit of money, not go all out, obviously, in the summer transfer window straight away. And then if all goes, if it all else fails, then maybe we can have a look at the January transfer window. So obviously save a bit of money for January rather than spending it all in one big hit in the summer. And obviously save a bit for the January transfer window. But again, like I said, I can't really comment too heavy on what the owners have got, money wise to spend in the transfer window. All I know is that they have got plans. The plan was obviously when they first walked into the club was, their ideas was to obviously build it up, brick by brick, and take it a step at a time. And I think with the first season into the championship, their ideas are most probably thinking, well, let's see how the first couple of months go leading up to January, and then possibly if it is all going like pretty bad, then obviously then we can step it up and go right. Okay, we need to get things underway before it gets even deeper and deeper for us. So that's where I'd most probably say, being fair, really talking about that, that's most probably where I think that they stand at the moment, with money-wise for the transfers and stuff and all that. I'm not going to sit here and criticise the owners of Portsmouth because I think they're fantastic at what they've done for Pompey. They're most probably the only decent owners that we've most probably had in the last decade or whatever, because we've had other owners in the past promising us the world. They've not followed it through, and Michael Eisner and his entire family have come in and done good for Pompey. So that's that's where I sit with the owners in that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna interesting, and I think as I'm just gonna bring in FIFA Lad and JC because they've been waiting, and obviously some of the comments going on, and I think this is the one thing that people have to realise, is there's being a fan and wanting the owners to spend loads and loads and loads of money and just go out and do it in leagues now where it just takes one player can cost you a few million quid. We were there considering that for a player called Beidou, Jamie, back in the window pre-season, and he wanted to come because of Rooney. So even Andy, he wanted to come for Rooney. So it was like that was great, and we were all hoping out for him, but it didn't come off. The Cooper sale and all that sort of stuff was going to help the funds towards that, but the whole thing around infrastructure and people sort of moaning that, Simon Hallett, who's our chairman and majority shareholder by quite a while, he should stop doing this, he should stop doing Argyle Breakfast TV, he should stop doing that and feed it all into the club. So if you go back to when, sort of Simon Hallett took over, the club wasn't in a great place. James Brent, who was the sort of chairman then that got the club out of the administration, it stabilised things, and then it was a plan. There's always these 5-year plans. Simon Hallett's an investment banker, so one thing he doesn't do is aim to lose money, right? But you do know going into a football club that there is that risk. But all these infrastructure plans, like we built an academy section in what's called the Brickfields to allow for development there. We bought more land around the stadium and the training pitch, the goals, soccer centres, there's some land there that we purchased. And all these things don't just happen overnight. And so they're planned out. And for Simon, understandably, he wanted to bring some investment in, could see that the infrastructure was needed. Derek Adams on another pod that I listened to a lot was interviewed. And what he walked into, when he joined was an absolute mess. So you have to look at these owners and you have to put everything into context. The club, as Carl, Marcus and Andy and I were talking on Friday night, I understand sort of business fairly well, I like to think, but the club has made a loss over the last couple of years. The wages, drastically increased coming into the Championship, which you would expect because contracts, but you're talking like 6 million to 9 million, without taking any significant players on. That's huge money. I mean, the thing that's keeping Argyle healthy is the assets, actually. So if Simon hadn't have invested in those, it would be a precarious place. And Carl, you put out that message last night, didn't you? And got quite a lot of interesting reactions.
Yeah, it was totally uncalled for. Certain people calling out Simon Hallett, especially in that kind of abusive way. There's a kind of a time and a place, and a adult way of doing that. But to tag him on Twitter and hurling abuse at him after losing at Leeds, which we kind of all expected anyway, was too much. We all know we need investment on the pitch to improve the squad going forwards. And yes, he knows that himself. He's told us he hasn't got the financial clout to take us forward in that aspect.
Correct.
And he's told us he's looking for investment. So I don't know what else fans expect. He's admitted that he hasn't got enough and he's looking for investment. So until we get that investment, yes, it's going to be difficult, and hopefully we get it sooner rather than later. It'd be nice in time for January, but I can't see it happening before Jan. It just seems to be too short notice, and it's all gone a bit quiet. So who knows? Maybe it's gone quiet because there's something close. Who knows? But as soon as something's done, I'm sure he'll let us know. But if all these things needed doing, the purchasing of the goals land, the Brickfields development, the training pitches. There's been a lot of money that's gone into redeveloping the training pitches, having it as good as kind of the stadium pitch, really, in some ways, and the security around the site as well. So, if he didn't do that, then fans would be criticising that we're not putting money into infrastructure, and we can't lure players here because it looks like a League Two setup, which it doesn't now. We look a lot more professional. When players come down and want to sign for us, they'll see it as being that. So it kind of all ties down to, you can do everything all at the same time, and it's been long overdue. He's done that, and when he does sell us on, I'm sure he'll do it to the right person, and he'll make a tidy sum back. But yeah, to get criticism for what he's done up to this point is bang out of order.
Yeah, and I think it is, because in his plan, sort of Jamie. I know Portsmouth. There's always that expectation, isn't there, to get back up there? I mean, look at Ipswich. That my dad's family's all Ipswich, and absolutely buzzing to go up twice back to back. But they're having a horrendous time. So even when they're taking the piss out of me in the WhatsApp group. And I'm laughing at them when they end up conceding late and always blaming the ref. But it's one of those where the sudden, oh my God, we've gone up, and there's been 2 revisions of that 5-year plan, and that's why I bring it back to everything is done well in advance. So to expect to go up when Simon, and that's why he's come out saying it needs investment. Like Drew's just asked, how hard is Hallett working on it? Extremely hard, because he knows he can't take the club forward. It could, I don't even know if there is an easy option just to go and give the keys to Mr. X or Mrs. XYZ or whatever consortium and go, do you know what? I don't care if your views and your values don't match ours or the club's. If you want to go and chuck a load of money and go and do it. He is what I don't think that option's there. And he alluded to it in a podcast before, about the fact that unless you're in and around, central, unless you're in and around Heathrow within an hour or half an hour, no one's really interested. So we know that as a club down here. We don't have, Simon's got a few quid, but he's not stupid enough just to blow it. So people do need to have a reality check, because if it was your money, I guarantee you wouldn't.
Sorry to butt in, but just going back to what Carl was saying about, how, your owners are going about building, around the infrastructure and everything and all that, like, the training ground and stuff like that. It's pretty much the same sort of thing up here in Portsmouth. That's what the owners are trying to do now. They're trying to make sure that, the players have a decent training ground to train in, make it a lot more professional, like you said, Carl, and also to make it more sort of like, championship sort of style. And again, I agree with what he said as well, that like if you don't have that look as a club trying to attract players, you're not really going to attract sort of like top star championship sort of players. They're not going to want to come because they'll have a look at the, surroundings of the training facilities and all that, and they'll like be, well, this is not really where I want to be training. It's not the sort of, they don't have like a positive sort of outlook, of where they want to go and all that. And I think that's also another thing as well, that when you're trying to attract players as well, like championship top players and that, you've got to think like, what can you give to them as an attraction? Like what can you, give to them and say, well, look, listen, this is what we can offer you, and this is where we're going with the club as well. This is our project, going forward and stuff and that. And I think, like I said, going back to Pompey, it's a step, it's a stepping stone with the owners, and like I said, that's where the main concentration's been, like I said, with the, the training facilities and so on and all that. There's been a lot of like negativity around like, whether or not if the owners do give a shit about us being in the championship, do they really want us to survive? Do they care about anything else? And also with the manager wise, with Mousinho, also is he up to the standards that, of a championship sort of style manager? Now, there's been a lot of negativity over Mousinho for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I bet.
So, I mean, I questioned Mousinho a couple of weeks back. I was doing a live and I was saying to a lot of people that I'm not too sure about Mousinho at the moment, to be quite fair and honest. I don't know if he's got what it takes to really live up to championship standards.
Yeah.
Or not, if he should just sort of like, hand it over to someone else and we should go in and grab somebody else. But, I know that may be the onus of trying to at least give it a bit more time before they pull the trigger on that situation with the manager.
Yeah.
I do question Mourinho's tactics and his substitutions when he times them right, and all that. But like I said, I'm not going to go too hard on him because the whole City game second half was pretty positive. So we did see some really more positive things out of that. And hopefully, if we can carry that second half of the whole City game into Tuesday night's game against you lot, then like I said earlier on, we will give you a good game on Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's taken those. That's what I mean. It's taken those little positives, those little wins. I mean, we should have done maybe Leeds if it had been, sort of say Derby before Leeds being the away game. After coming back from Preston, just chatting to a Preston fan in there just now, then you feel that would have been a more of achievable game. But we clearly went to Leeds defensive, So yeah, you have to. If I was Portsmouth, I would be taking the fact that Argyle have been getting, battered effectively with the goals that, bearing in mind we hardly conceded any, until we went away to Cardiff. So, where we played bad, that is, so Sunderland and whatnot, it was goals where the game was good both sides. But you got to take those positives. Yes, you were 1-0 up and Hull came back, but like you said, you played better in the second half anyway, which was typical then probably for conceding because you're going and trying to play a bit more attacking. So yeah, that's why it's going to be an interesting one. JC, I know I brought you in a while ago. It feels like now on this Simon Hallett stuff. But if you are still there, you're muted at the moment. But yeah, come in and give us your thoughts if you want to share those with us. We might have wandered off. So we'll keep it going. I still want to keep this conversation. So Marcus, obviously you've put in a few comments and you bang on with the James Brent and Simon Hallett situation. And there are short memories with certain people, especially one that commented on Kyle's post, and I won't mention him by name. But it isn't easy, is it? I mean, do you risk 3 million on one player that could make your season, could go and get injured, break his leg? Touch wood. They don't, and then and that's it. Where's that investment gone?
Well, it's just one big gamble, isn't it? You got to get it right. You got to do the data analyst. We've got a budget to work from. We've been nearly dead and buried before, so you can't take the risk. He's got to get the right bloke, right investors, not somebody that comes in, has a bit of fun, and thinks, "Oh, sod it, I'll clear off somewhere else." Then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So you got to have the right investors.
Yeah, agree.
That doesn't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, you look at that Argyle Green. They didn't last 5 minutes, did they?
No, and this is the thing. You've got to be absolutely serious coming into something like this, and Simon Hallett would have known the situation, would have looked at everything, considered the options, and where he could go, setting out the 5-year plans, etc. People also need to be thankful that there is a proper business plan, because not every club or every business has that, and it's crucial to set down where what you want to do and what you want to achieve. And there's part of me, if we go back, if we go onto the Rooney side of this, and I can see Scotty, if he's still in, sort of saying "told you so" about, sort of Rooney, it'd be just like Birmingham, but it is different. But there was a lot in that interview that really captured their attention, and he also at times does talk about the longer term plan for the club. And we have said this before. We do wonder, with the coffers that he has, the cash in reserves that he has, could he be part of this? It's difficult when you're a manager, I think, because if it proper goes south and sour and you've got investment, it does. Then you get the fans on your back asking you to get out of the club. Even if you have come in and pit, fans are fickle if you put millions into it. And it's never an easy one, but I think I'm definitely of the thought that, say worst case, touch wood, it doesn't happen, but we go down. I don't think they'll sack Rooney, not because of the wages he's on. He didn't even want to take the salary, but Simon Hallett has to legally pay him. And I think that salary is around the 307,000 mark, which is probably about right in this league. But I don't think they'll get rid of Rooney. It will either be Rooney decides to leave if he feels the players aren't playing for him and he's not able to get anything out of them. Because, who else is going to bring some of these players that we've had in, Jamie, of coming off the back of Rooney being appointed? I mean, that alone is quite powerful for a club that, like you said, unless you've got all the facilities, indoor training and all this sort of stuff, because they don't want to get their hair wet. I'm joking, but it's playing for someone like Rooney is a big deal for a lot of people, isn't it? Or can be.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously back in his time when he was playing, he was a fantastic player, for Everton, Man United. Manager-wise, I would say that his track record as a manager is a bit of like up and down sort of situation. But there are players out there that like you're saying that why wouldn't you want to play for Wayne Rooney? At the end of the day, if like I said earlier on, if you're going to offer a player something very attractive, and something more positive outlook, on the situation, on the season going forward, then of course you're going to attract the right type of players, and they're going to want to come and play for a manager like Wayne Rooney. So I'm pretty sure like half of the Portsmouth players on our team would love to go and play for a manager like Wayne Rooney. Do you know what I mean? I don't really can think of any player out there that wouldn't want to.
No, there's always things you can learn from them, and he does get stuck into training as well. So although he tends to pull a muscle or something doing that equally. So, but look, he's fitted in down here. It was definitely a weird one, but it certainly, felt right. And look, we have had some great opportunities, but as, Steve Vaughan commented earlier, a lot of the crucial goals have come with last minute either winners or equalisers, and we do want to shut a game off, without having to sit on the edge of our seats. We do want to keep a clean sheet. I think for Grimshaw, it's such a shame because he is such a quality goalkeeper. But you look at the goals conceded and you almost go, "Wow, really?" But he's probably saved us from losing some of those games that we've won at home. Sort of going to slowly wrap it up. We are on the hour, and I was hoping we would sort of get some decent conversation going. So really appreciate you coming in as well tonight, Jamie. I think, Carl, sort of going back to these, I want to touch on these youngster side of things as well. When you've got no massive budget, and obviously unless Whittaker gets sold in January, and whether or not he will go for the plus 10 million that they want for him. I've said the other day, I don't think that's possibly achievable the way he's playing right now. Thanks for that, Lisa. But do you have to then turn to these youngsters, Tegan Finn, all this sort of stuff? Caleb Roberts. I mean, look at what you've got around you and just say, go for it then. Okay, if we can't get these players in and these injuries, you've got to get these guys involved, don't you?
I think I'll get Lisa up front. She's quite good with a football by the looks of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to do that, Lisa. Thank you, though. But yeah, like Marcus was saying earlier, I would keep Roberts in the team for Tuesday because I don't think he did anything wrong. I think he looked the positive out of the three on Tuesday. He was closing down more than the other two. He was putting his foot in more than the other two. And he had more energy than the other two because he's obviously a lot younger than them two. So,
and also it's his first game.
So he's going to be fresh. It all depends if Randall's going to be fit. If he is fit, that throws a spanner in the works because obviously him and JB do seem to have a good relationship there. But if Randall's still out, then hands down, I would give Roberts another start alongside JB. As for the other young guys, obviously Tegan Finn, we keep hearing about. Obviously bringing in for his first appearance of the season on Saturday was good to see. Obviously he's not going to have any chance to shine in a game like that or even touch the ball. So
yeah.
Do we drop Whittaker for him on Tuesday? Probably not, because we're going to have a moment at some point for Whittaker to grab a goal, which he's shown a few times, obviously lately. without really playing well, but you keep picking him because he has those moments. He's a very big moment player. So yeah, it's hard to drop Whittaker on that basis. But whether we can move him infield, maybe kind of in Al Hadj's position, that might be an option, and then bringing Tegan Finn out on the right, that could work. But I don't think Rooney's going to be swapping and changing for Tuesday night. I think he'll keep it what we kind of used to.
Sort of predictable. And a sort of. I think my last point on my notes here.
Just to jump back in, obviously Joe Hatch has got a nasty injury now as well, which is a massive shame.
Yeah. So that will, for that one little spell that he got, away that time. But the last point on my notes really, which obviously is starting to do the rounds, is at what point do you question Rooney? And I put it on there more to sort of just. We should raise it because it's right to raise it. That last time there was a lot of conversations about have we been tactically fought out, or caught out, and outthought or whatever the phrase is, and is that where the teams have closed us out? They know away now if they get their first goal, it can really unsettle us and knock our confidence. So get the goal and just control the game. You're likely to get the 3 points. Preston came to home. And got those goals, and sort of ruffled and shocked everybody a bit in the stadium, But it's, for me, definitely until Christmas, and unless it's an absolute disaster, and like I said, unless Rooney starts to question himself, I think you have to then give it the January window to see what happens. So, for me, he won't go, Scotty. I don't know. I know you came back in, so I don't know if you were in when I was talking about the fact that I don't think Simon Hallett will sack him. It's just who else are we going to find out there that's going to turn it around with this set of players? So that's why I know a number of us, when I say that myself, Carl, Marcus, and Andy, who isn't with us tonight, do feel that with whoever comes in and manages these players, it's going to be a challenge. And actually, for Rooney, we can see that his style, his attacking play, we've all loved it in the home games recently up to Preston. So for me, it doesn't take much, and even for Portsmouth, if you get a result on Tuesday and you can get another result before the international break, it could turn your season around. It doesn't take much to jump the league. So for me, I'd start to worry if I felt Rooney wasn't that interested. I think at Birmingham and the way that was set up there, that's where it just fell apart. Whereas it is different here, but it doesn't mean to say it will work. But I don't think, even in Sean, I don't think that they're going to get rid of him that quick. Marcus, thoughts?
Well, I reckon if we can play like the last 30 minutes we did against Preston, we'll be okay. Because the first hour, load of crap. If we play like that, like we did in the last 30 minutes, with intensity, we'll be okay. We should get a good few points between Portsmouth and Derby.
Yeah.
Couple of wins, we're back on track.
Yeah, I think, and Derby haven't got the best of home records. I think I saw noted earlier. So, there is that chance there, but it could be crucial what happens on Tuesday.
And we can't play that negative against Derby.
No, I'm going to Marcus. I'm going to start to close it down. But any final thoughts from you? But also score prediction.
I'm going for 3-1 for us.
Yeah, fair enough.
I
Jamie?
reckon.
Go on. Sorry.
I reckon that Preston game could be a wake-up call for at home.
Yeah, fair enough then. Anything else to add of note, or that's it for you tonight?
That's all sweet. We're going to get 3 points. Got to be confident.
So, Jamie, your score prediction and final thoughts then for Tuesday?
I just hope that we're able to turn up with more sort of positivity going forward at yous for the first half, like we did in the second half of the Hull City game. Like I said, if we can carry that sort of performance into the Argyle game, then I think it's going to be a tough game, obviously. Score prediction wise, I would most probably say a draw. If we're lucky, I'd love to say that we'd get a win, 2-1 possibly, but with the performances recently, I just don't see it happening down at home park. So, Yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And obviously, I've seen Andy's joined in the comments. He's got family down, which is why he's not in with us tonight. So he's sneaking a few little peeks while he's entertaining, I'm sure. So Andy's going with 2-0. Andy's also obviously noted, depending on what time you get down, about meeting up in the Hyde Park Social. You get a pasty and a pint for a fiver. I work during the week, so I generally struggle to get to there on a Tuesday night game, to be fair, with finishing work and stuff. But if you do go there and I can make it, I'll pop down. So yeah, so note that. At what time do you reckon you'll get down here?
Not too sure. Obviously, planning to leave Portsmouth, obviously, around about, I don't know, my friend's obviously driving us down, so I'll have to, obviously, ask him about it, but we'll be down there in time, obviously. So,
yeah,
but most probably we'll head down there for around about 6-ish or something like that.
Well, at least it's not too long a journey.
No, it's not that long. I mean, like I said,
road.
We've done it once before anyway in the car, so it's only about near enough 4 hours, so it's not that long.
No, exactly. No, look, and really appreciate you coming on, and we'll probably do the follow-up on the Wednesday evening, so I'm sure we'll see you back in then and see how the mood is from both parties. So appreciate you coming on tonight, Jamie. Carl, sort of final thoughts and score predictions then from you.
I'm going to stick my neck out here and say we're going to turn on the flare if Sissoko's back. 4-1 to us.
Oh, nice big score.
We're not going to get a clean sheet because we haven't had one all season, and I can't see us keeping the back door shut. So, yeah, I think Portsmouth will get one. But if we turn up like we have been doing at home, we've got most of our players back, especially if Sissoko's back. He's going to be wanting to prove that he's still got it and he's not, lost his head from the Cardiff game. So if we turn up, we should convincingly win, but we'll see. I think first goal is key, like in any championship game. I think if Portsmouth get the first goal, then things might be slightly different. If we get the first goal, then I think hopefully the floodgates might open, but we'll see.
Yeah, fair enough. Hull City, you're back, but we are closing out, and I've got my final thoughts to give before we do that. I think, like I said, I think it will either go one or two ways. I can't see Portsmouth beating us because of the form, but it could be one of those edgy games where it ends up 0-0, or there might be a score draw like a 1-1. I can't see either side scoring a lot if they're playing that sort of way. Or like Carl said, it could be one of those where I never bet against us losing. I just can't ever do it. But it could be one of those where Argyle just kick into gear, with the right sort of formation and starting lineup, and that could sort of close out the last few games with a nice. Sort of 2-3-0, something like that. I'm going to stick my neck out and say, based on Portsmouth's run of games, I think we could keep a clean sheet here, even with Gibson missing. So I'm going to go 2-0. I don't think I've got many right at all. So we'll see. I don't think any of us have. But look, we'll see when it comes around to it on Tuesday. But as us Argyle fans, don't lose your heads. It is what it is. We can't expect miracles. We have got a squad that's not as deep in depth as a lot of other clubs, and also the budget that other clubs have. So we have to ride the rough with the smooth. It's great to see these youngsters come on. The likes of Tegan Finn, which Rooney said again in his post-match, it's going to be one of many starts. And he got a good 20 minutes to get out and run around. Didn't really do much, but for the lad, same with Caleb Roberts, just putting on that green jersey and getting out there, when they're both local lads, for any local player for their local team is a monumental thing. And when it is tough, it's a good test to see what these guys can do. Absolutely. And Callum Wright, as the Grumpy Loyal has noted in there, can be very, very good and has been when he's come on recently. So another one that we can't forget about for Tuesday either. So on that note, let's look forward to Tuesday. Let's see what happens. Derby, not a derby, this, that, and the other. It doesn't matter. It generally causes a really good atmosphere and build up to the game. So it just adds to it all. So, Carl, thanks for joining again tonight. Jamie, thank you for coming on as well.
No
Marcus, JC, who's been sat there, but we didn't hear from him in the end, but that's fair enough. Andy will hopefully be back for Wednesday's one. Look, have a great rest of the night. Monday, Tuesday, let's see what happens. But take it easy, guys, and catch you later.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
No worries, mate.
Oh, he
No
comes
worries.
right at the last minute.
He's alive. Anyway, Green Army.
All the best. Bye. Bye.
Cheers, Jamie. Bye.